Welcome, another episode, Dr. James Beckett Sports Card Insights here with Rich Klein. We're going to talk about 72 Topps baseball, which will be timely for reasons that Rich will reveal. But a great set, kind of a little bit of psychedelic set, a little different design, maybe shook up the old guard back in 72 because it looked very, very different from what the staid Topps presentation had been up to that point. So thanks sponsors, Topps especially, but also Panini, Upper Deck, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Hogan Scott Auctions, as well as ComC.com and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. So welcome, Rich. Always great to connect with you. 72 Topps, probably again in your...
It's in my wheelhouse.
In your preteen? You still preteen?
I was still preteen.
Still barely
and
preteen.
It's funny, 72, I did some, but not a lot. But the most cards I bought in 72 were the 5th series cards.
You were smart.
No, it's just the way if the year broke. I was on a vacation and, baseball cards. And what I loved about the 5th series compared to the early series, and I think it threw me off on the early series, the photos, once you get to the 5th and 6th series, are much sharper. They pop, and the first 4 series didn't really pop.
It wasn't, I don't know, it's the photos or the printing technique.
Yeah.
And actually, I find the later series to be in better condition.
And that's fairly typical because the later series...
But you're talking about 526
526
to 656.
and then 657 to 787.
But you got the 5th series.
I got the 5th series.
Yeah, there's some great players in there.
There's Rose in there. There's Ryan in there. There's Klein in there. There are those bizarre awards cards showing absolutely nothing.
Well, that's the first, I know, but on the back, could you list that as so these trophy cards, do you think people didn't like them at the time, or because that was the first time that the Topps had ever done that, or did they think, oh, this is cool, and an MVP trophy or something like that, or a Cy Young? It's
if people liked them, don't you think they would have kept doing them?
Oh, good point. Same thing with the boyhood photos.
Yes, the boyhood photos at least they did the next year.
Yeah, the
in action photos were really cool, but I think they just said we'll just make these part of the regular set.
Do you think I just dealt with this when talking about Joe Morgan, but? Joe Morgan, Frank Robinson, there's some others, but the traded cards, were those the first traded cards?
Yes, those are really the first traded cards. Actually, 71 OPG has 3 cards with a traded notation. Tommy Davis, Hoyt Wilhelm, and I think Jerry DeVannen or somebody like that.
With the little fine print on the front?
With the little fine print on the front.
Yeah. But that's not the same.
This
was, and frankly, those are, I think that, like I mentioned with Joe Morgan, I think that makes Joe Morgan's 72 Topps high number extremely collectible.
It's his
iconic Reds Big Red Machine rookie card.
And other than his rookie card, it's his best card. It's his best.
Well, it's lower supply and probably a little bit higher demand.
It's the toughest. It's tougher than the 65 rookie.
Yeah.
And so
true.
They got a lot of the really good players and by the 5th series, we were talking about the 5th series, Nolan Ryan is a California Angel in the 5th series. So you're not going to do a traded card of Ryan because you've already traded him.
Right.
So it's only some people in the lower series that get the traded notation.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I didn't collect I got Roland as in 73. 72, I was doing stuff. And then in 73, I had the chance, and it was 12 or 15 bucks. I had a chance to either get a 72 set from perhaps Bruce Yecko or, Wholesale Card Company or somebody else. But I sent off, and I had the choice to either get a 72 set for 12 bucks or a 73 set for 12 bucks or 15. It was less than 15.
Yeah.
I chose 73.
Because it was the courage.
I know, but now I'm looking back, I want to redo.
But,
and it was more cards, and would anybody say that the 73 set is a better looking set than 73?
Were you in Ohio by 73?
Yes. No, I wasn't, but I do realize that they had...
Ohio got all 5 series at the same point.
Yeah, some places did and some places didn't.
Florida did for sure.
The break is after the first 3, I think.
Yeah, Florida definitely did. I think Ohio did.
Yeah.
Because Florida is where I once went to the Lloyd's store in Orlando, and I found a whole bunch of the 73 team checklists, which told me that those got released in Florida.
Do you think there was a backlash in 72 because of not just the last series, but the next to last series were both tougher and had some really good players in there and interesting stuff? Like I said, the trophy cards, the traded cards, and some of these better players. The Topps got angry letters from kids.
They may have. Here's the other thing. Remember, in 70 and 71, as we've discussed,
they were doing the same thing there too.
You have a plethora of better players in 70 and 71 in the 5th.
It was backloaded.
It was backloaded instead of front-loaded.
But again, after 72, not only did they quit doing that, they also quit really distributing in series.
Yes.
Maybe they got criticism.
73 is in series because I bought 73 packs in series. But there were parts in the country,
Yes.
Florida, Ohio among them, that had cards released at the same time. I remember doing a show trip to Kendall Lloyd's Orlando Sports Cards where I got a whole bunch of 73s, team checklists.
We're not really talking about football here, but you notice 72 Topps football, third and last series, also is problematic for collectors. In fact, some collectors didn't even know about it.
Most don't know about it.
They did come in Texas, though.
I know. I buy them. It shows every once in a while.
Again, my point is, in 72 with baseball and football, I bet they're getting some complaints. 73 football, all one series. 73 baseball in parts of the country is all one series. And Topps really never looked back.
And they realized that's a win for them. It's simpler.
It's probably more efficient. On the other hand, like I pointed out with Joe Morgan's card, was he 132 in the first?
I think so.
He's basically pictured as an Astro.
Yeah.
Even though he's traded in November. And so you can't, to do it in series allows you to unfold the season. But I guess that became not as important.
And that's why they started the traded. You point out about the traded cards. That's why 74 and 76, you can almost pinpoint to the day when the cards were printed based on when the players were traded. And so it's interesting because it's not a lot of superstars in either of those two sets. 72 actually has better players than 74 and 76 in the traded. And they only have 7 cards compared to 44 and 74 and 76.
Okay, let's say you have an X-Mint set of cards from the 70s. Would 72 be your first choice? If that's all you knew. So it's not a 71 set that's in pristine condition. You have a choice to pick one of the sets from the 70s. I think 72 might be my pick.
I think, and as a seller...
In nice shape, but not super gradable.
As a seller, I'd be thrilled.
You could sell them easily.
Because you sell the high numbers easily, and then you can sell the superstars, and then just bunch out the low numbers with some stars thrown in. Maybe not your best level Hall of Famers, even your second tier Hall of Famers. And you're going to get money for the high number stars. And then one thing about 72, and we talked about this with one of the other things, some of those 3-player rookie cards used to be even more popular then than they are now because we had a different world where we had team set collectors. And you get the card with Rick Miller in it, and you get the Say Ogilvy rookie in it. You've got popular teams. So you've got the set collector, teams collectors, and Ron Say was a popular player.
Penguin, yeah.
Penguin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, I see that kind of distorts the demand a little bit. But again, and I don't know that there were more complete set collectors, but as you start moving into the 70s, there probably were more and more team set collectors, team collectors.
Yes, because it was an easy world.
We don't think it was expensive as we look back, but in those days, the price kept going up.
Right.
And people were making choices and they were working their way back.
In 67, the Shaw Sutherland rookie, 587, was a Met and a Philly. You get two
those are two rabid fan bases, yeah.
You get two popular teams like that, and that's similar to what happened on the Rick Miller card. I believe there's a Yankee or a Met on that. I think John Milner's on that card. So you've got, again, a Mets and a Red Sox.
Yeah.
So you get situations like that.
See, if you had been working for Topps at that time, Rich, you would have advised them exactly because you have a sharp eye for that detail. But as a kid, you just buy the packs of cards. I don't recall, again, the set that I could have bought that I didn't, that I'm kicking myself, was not a set that was a factory set. There were no factory sets. In fact, 73 or 74?
74 J.C.Penney catalog.
Kmart. Was it J.C.Penney?
J.C.Penney.
Okay. Yeah.
And
so everything else was hand collated.
Everything, yeah. There were other than the presentation sets.
Yes,
but those aren't
which I also had one of those that I didn't hold on to.
We all didn't hold on to some of them.
No, but that I deep down I knew I was making a mistake. Okay.
But the whole thing with 72, 787 cards, which at the time was by far the largest set. It smoked past 71 at 752.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think there were 800 count boxes?
No, of course not.
I don't remember any 800 count boxes.
Where are you going to store it?
In 1972. I don't even remember commercially available boxes of any size, whether they were 660s or, but why would you have anything more than, of course, I guess 70, 71, you're encroaching there, but the 792 or the 800 count box, I guess
we just used what we had.
Shoe boxes. Yeah. It really was a shoe box.
It really was a shoe. Or you use cheese boxes because they actually...
The Velvetas?
The Velvetas, they were better for the cards.
Yeah,
But I love one thing, the 72 set, next year's Heritage is going to be 72. Yes. So they can really do, and Topps, and I know Clay Luraski really loves heritage, and he's always made it a point to really try to be as respectful of the, and that's the wrong word. He's always looked at the
homage. Yeah.
As an homage. And he's always been very good. And as I explained to people, if you look at the original set, even if all you have is a checklist printed out, and then you compare it to today's set, you'll see enough comparisons where it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cubs, those 4 Cubs with the yellow and the green. It'd be really cool to have at least one of the Cubs as a throwback with the yellow and the green.
And the team card being the floating heads.
Could you imagine people like Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo being a scarcer version with the green? There's enough Cubs collectors out there, and then you make, and I know it's a little contrived, but you make it a scarcity, and you've got a win for people to chase down cards like that.
It looked to me like the 72 Topps set was, and this, I don't want to say this in it too negatively, but when you look at 68, 69, 70, 71, they didn't look art designed as much as the 72 set, which was art deco designed. And it looked like somebody that had come from an ad agency said, let's do something that's mod, which wasn't the case for Topps until that set. And frankly, 73 went back to being, I won't say boring, but just not as artistic.
I think 75 is why people love it, because it's
lots of color.
It's lots of color, but it's not ostentatious. 72,
well, that's getting close.
72 almost looks like Peter Max designed.
Peter Max, yeah, that
which interestingly enough, 25 years later,
into the picture. Yeah.
25 years later, Peter Max does these inserts, and he signs like 40 cards in these insert sets of cards he drew. So everything old is new again for Peter Max too in the 90s.
Yeah. So 72, I would say, was one of my favorite sets. I'll say also, it's not a set. Well, this is a distinction. I would never put it together card by card. The only 72 sets I've ever had, I bought as a set. I think it's a tough set to put together card by card.
It is, and I will tell you something. Anytime I get 72s at a reasonable price and I buy the high numbers, they always end up selling. So there are people who still collect 72s.
Well, they are putting it together card by card.
And they are putting together card by card. Yeah. Which you're right. If you can spend the $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever it is to get the whole set at one shot, it makes it a lot easier. And I know we're not talking about OPG at this point, but OPG has one of the most popular cards in it for a very sad reason. The Gil Hodges card, which mentions his passing for 172. Yeah. And that's printed on and that card, that price on that card and finding that card is super tough.
Yeah. And
that series of OPG, that's the 4 series, the final series that year of OPG.
Right.
And that is slightly tougher than the other 3 series as well. So that's an interesting thing in 72 where I don't believe there are any signed 72 Gil Hodges I know of. If they are, they're very few.
No, I don't have one. I think it may even be, it's borderline impossible.
It's borderline impossible.
Yeah. Let's make that a positive note to end on, that you've got a really rare card that you might stumble onto, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to find it autographed if you can even find it at all. Rich and I love cards that have a story, that have kind of layers of importance. And like I said about the Gil Hodges, who is let's say almost a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer in many respects.
Yes, he's priced as a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and a member of 72 Topps. A lot of great cards there. Encourage you to pursue them. They're available at the Beckett Marketplace as well as ComC and the card
and I'm sure
shops
Heritage and Fruitman and Verus all have them available too.
At any rate, patronize our sponsors. Have a good time. Enjoy. Take a peek at 72 Topps. You'll see, again, it's ancient history now, 48 years ago. Can you believe it? Wow. So thanks, Rich. Thanks, listeners. Be back again tomorrow with another episode.